and then just click eject and see how far up does the tracing go. And if you see it's not at the same location whenever you're crouching, then you just can use you can just change these values, or you can also just do other stuff like that. But well, this is just fine for me. This worked for me. If you're using the same values as I am, then you're fine. You'll be fine. So for this vector plus vector, the first one, we want to focus on the x here. So let's put this x to 34. Then after the line trace, we care only for this region value, at least for now. So this is the crouch trace. So the first one we want to do is we want to set this crouch block 1 after the line trace, and the region value of the line trace by channel is going to be our condition of our crouch block here. Then we can just select all of these, duplicate them after here, connect them together like this. And now we have to do some changes here. We want to keep these here as they are. But what we want to do is we want to change this one. We can use this plus if we want. So we are basically plus, then we have to do plus minus 34. Or then we can just replace this with, just delete this one and let's drag out of the get actual location. Let's do minus. So vector minus vector. And then we can just minus this with 34, the x1. And we have to hook this up like they were, like that. And we have to change this crouch block 01 to crouch block 02. There we go. This is correct. Now we can again select all of these and duplicate them here. We are almost done. Let's connect this up like that. And all we have to do basically here, we have to change 4 things overall. So we are gonna make the x to 0, but we're gonna make the y to 34. And also this block, crouch block 1, we have to set it to crouch block 3. Same here, 0 the x and make the y to 34. And the crouch block 2, let's change it to crouch block 4. Compile and save, and let's actually do let's set the debug to none for all of these. I forgot to do that before duplicating. Compile and save. Then we're done with this one. We still have to do one more thing. So let's duplicate this crouch trace here. Duplicate, and let's call this crawl trace. This is gonna be a little bit different. Let's see, okay. We still need 4 of these, but we can just delete all of these from crouch half height to selection. These all we can delete. And all we have to do is just change this x from 34 to 20. And the vector multiplied by float, we change this number to 34. This worked fine for me. We have to make all of these changes as well. Also we have to change this crouch block 01. We're gonna change it to crawl block 01. Now let's do the same changes here. So let's delete these ones, multiplied by 34, and the vector minus vector 20 in the x, crawl block 02. Let's delete these ones, vector multiplied by 34, and vector plus vector the y to 20, and crawl block 03. Let's delete these all, 34, 20 here, and crawl block 04. Okay, this is done. Let's make sure we have all correct. They are. Yes. Okay, they are. Compile and save. We can close this now. And now we're gonna just connect these two functions after the crouch crawl runtime. Okay, we are done with the basically the runtime coding. Now we have to focus on the actual input actions. Now these are going to be macros. And why macros? Basically because we're going to use these two execution pins. Well, except for the crowds, we're gonna use one, but that could be also in function if you want, but I'm gonna make it macro. Just simpler that way. So let's start with sprint. Let's create macro here. I'm gonna call this sprint. Input. We need 2 inputs and we need 2 outputs as well, and they are all going to be executions. I'm gonna call this one press, the first input, and the second one is gonna be released. There we go. And outputs, I'm gonna just I'm gonna call this then 1 and then 2. From press, I'm gonna add sequence here. Why we are using sequence is just this is the safest way of making sure that if you press like sprint and you wanna do something else than the sprint, you wanna do something else. This is the safest way to make sure that when you press, it will go through all of this, because if there is even one branches here and you forget to connect one pin with output and then that pin actually fires, it won't get through. So that's why I always do like this. So from sequence then 1, I'm gonna connect with the outputs then 1 and then 2. We have to add something after the release first. So really we're gonna set it's sprinting. We're gonna set this after release and it's going to be false. And then from this set in sprinting, I'm gonna connect this with the outputs then 2. Now we are going to get our is crouching. Let's get our is crouching. We need a branch here. So let's create one, and then you can just drag out and search for either branch or if. And here we have branch. The branch we're gonna connect with then 0 from the sequence. Then now we need 2 more branches here. So let's just duplicate there and here. Okay. So the first branch we're gonna connect it with the true of the first branch. And the condition, let's drag out of there, and we want to get AND boolean. So we want AND. What is AND? Nah, AND boolean here, and we need 4 pins overall here. And for these, we wanna hook all our crawl blocking. So the crawl block 1 goes to first, and so on and so on. We get that here and here. Then the third branch we wanna hook up, connect with the false of the second branch here. And we can basically just, oh sorry, we don't want AND, that was wrong. We want OR. So let's do again OR boolean here. There we go. OR boolean. Then we can just duplicate these with the third one like that, but we're gonna change these with the crouch blocking. Ah, wrong. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are good. From the false, we want to set the crouch stage. So let's set it. So we'll basically just get it and set from the false, and the state is going to be stand. Then we wanna set this is crouching. So we want to set it after this crouch stage. It's going to be false. Then we want to set sprinting as well, and this is going to be true because we are sprinting right now. We can also track out of this one here, or then we can just make actually new one here. So let's track the is printing here. We want to set it to true from the first branch false pin like that. Okay. Let me see if this is correct. It is correct. Nice. Okay. If you want to make sure that if player is crawling and if there is a ceiling above us but we can still crouch, then you can add here one. You can set the crouch from this true to crouch. So, but I'm only using one key to actually go back and forth from the crouching. Well, kind of two. But yeah, I don't need that. So component save. We are done with this one. Let's see if, yeah, we can close this and we can hook this up or connect this with the sprint here. The release with release and press with press and release with released. Then we need second macro. I'm gonna call this crouch, and we need only one output. Well, it's the one output and input here. I'm gonna call the input execute and the output then, because then they will be invisible here. I'm gonna create here a sequence after the input. Come on, sequence. Oh my god, what the hell? Sequence. I'm gonna connect the output with this sequence, then 1 here. So we are just passing the information through. I mean that we have pressed, so it's going through. Now we want to get our crowd stage here, so we're gonna get it from here. We track out and we do switch on enum crowds, and this I'm gonna connect with then 0. From the stand, let's get is crouching. So let's get it and let's do select after the crouch here. Then we need to set our crouch stage. We need to set this up with a true like that, and let's connect this with the stand as well. So if we are crouching, if it's false, we're gonna make it to crouch. If it's true, we're gonna give it as a stand. Yeah. This is what we will be doing. This is fine. Then after the crouch stage, we're gonna set is crouching to true. Then from crouch, we can just duplicate these two under here and connect this with the crouch, and the crouch stage is going to be crawl. And then we want, let's actually open our sprint here, and we can, let's select the crawl blocks, the OR and the branch here. So let's copy them and paste them right here. Connect the branch with the crawl, and from false we're just gonna select this set crouch stage and this crouching. We're gonna duplicate them here, and from false of this branch we're gonna set this crouch stage, and it's going to be crouch, and is crouching is gonna be true. Component save. We are done with this one. Let's connect these crouch with the crouch like that. Okay, and one more is the jump. The jump is going to be basically the same like our sprint. So we can just duplicate this sprint, and let's call this jump. The only things we're gonna do here, we're gonna change is we're gonna delete this sprinting, and from release we're gonna search for stop jumping, and we are gonna hook this as stop jumping with then to it again. Okay, we're gonna check R with jumping, crouching. Let's delete this set sprint and let's switch this one, the false, with a jump command here. And then these are like they has to be. Let's just delete this sprinting because we don't want to do that, and I'm just gonna duplicate this crouch stage up here. I'm gonna connect this with true. I'm gonna set this to crouch. Yeah, I think that is it. So compile and save, and let's then connect this one with the jump input here. Compile and save, and this should be it actually. We should be done here, so let's give it a try. Just place your character in the world and make sure you are auto-processing it or something. So now it seems like we are, it's working. So whenever we are, like, let's say we are crawling and we jump, we only get up and then we can jump. Okay, let's see it's actually so that we cannot get up here. No, this is good. This is really good now. Let's see that the... Okay, there is still one issue, though. And it's that if we are not enough out of this small area here, and we press, like... Let's press jump. We only get up one stage, so we are now in crouch stage and not standing stage. That's the one issue there is still, and that's just actually what I think is that, yeah, I know what's the issue here is, because when we are crouching, it's easier if I just show you. So I'm gonna edit this one. I'm gonna make sure I can see this capture component, and go into my crawl stage. I'm gonna debug this for one frame, so you can see why it's not working at all. Compile and save. So I'm gonna play it on this main view. So here, as you can see, now that we are down in here, you can see that there is our one tracing. Now we are not tracing anymore, so there is nothing above us. But when we get up, we are now using the crouch tracing, and that tracing point is a little bit off from this one, basically. A little bit more. It's basically it's I don't know how to explain this. Let's just try and see if we go to crouch trace and do the draw debug here as well. Okay, so now let's try again. Okay, so let's see if we check now, we can see that they are, as you can see, they are not in the same exact position. This is the when we are standing or crouching, and this is when we are actually crawling. So they are not in an exact same location. They cannot be, of course, but that's something we'll have to consider how to fix that, because if you're obviously enough out of this small area, and you wanna start sprinting, you realize, okay, I'm not sprinting, so I have to press the sprint button again in order to sprint. But that's something you can also try and fix yourself if you want to. So that's basically it. Yeah, that's it. So there you see, we used now interpolation instead of timelines, and it feels way smoother if you ask me, like way smoother. So I hope this was what you needed to see and learn. I hope to see you later on my next tutorials. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.